And away we go. It is the BCJ podcast brought to you by the Holy Grail right here on BearcatJournal.com. Baseball season and warm weather is right around the corner. Make sure you are stopping by the Holy Grail when you're down at the banks. Get yourself some cold drinks, have some great food, and support those that support us by getting down to the Holy Grail and having a grand old time as you don't go to the ballpark, but you just hang out in the environment around the ballpark. Why would you want to go to the ballpark right now? Anyhow, I'm Chad Brendel. He's Dave Simone. Hi, David. How are you?
Hello.
How's it going, buddy?
It's good. I'm ready for a full noon to 11:30 slate of mostly quality basketball games starting tomorrow.
Yeah, I get to Friday's going to be interesting as I'm on the radio from 3 to 6 and the Bearcats play essentially from 3 to 6.
Yeah, the whole game will be completed while you're on the radio.
Yeah, and they expect me to talk about things that aren't the UC game. Like we're supposed to counter program.
That's right.
What's on WLW. How am I going to be doing that when my entire focus is going to be on the UC game? It should be interesting.
Call me. I'll help you out.
I actually was thinking I might need to have you on to do like a draft segment.
Okay. I could probably make that happen tomorrow or Friday.
Yeah, probably Friday just because I'm supposed to be counter programming.
Because no one will be listening. And they don't care who you bring on.
I'm going to be talking about the game the whole time. Like, it's going to be a test of my ability to talk about something while I'm watching something else.
Yep.
I don't think I'm going to be good at it.
We'll all find out together.
We will. It's going to be a live watch party at 15:30. So that should be fun. Quite a bit to get to tonight. Waiting on a practice report from our guy, Kerry Hoffman. Aaron had some stuff come up that he wasn't able to make it down today and tomorrow. So Kerry Hoffman in a pinch, saving the day and hitting up practice for us and looking forward to a full report from him. Not sure on the status of the nightcap tomorrow and Thursday, unless you want to pop on one with me tomorrow and talk about the same stuff we talk about tonight. But I don't know. I just when you think we're starting to level out and get things back under control, more stuff happens.
It happens, What are you gonna do?
It's owning a business, right?
You just roll with it and do the best you can.
I'm trying, Dave.
It's not,
there aren't lives at stake. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like the old pun. We're not going to use it in this situation, obviously, but like we're not, sending rockets into space. Like if we don't hit on something. Yeah.
And that was a terrible. Never mind. I'm an idiot. Just leave it at that. I'm an idiot. Let's get to. We don't know today yet, but you and I have not really spoken. Okay.
You talk.
What are you holding on for? Okay.
My VPN's doing its thing.
Oh, okay. We have not really spoken about spring football yet. Obviously, I have Monday's notes up, and like I said, we're waiting for Kerry's notes here soon, and I'm sure those will be fantastic. Kerry is very thorough always, so looking forward to that. And are you good?
I'm good. I think I'm good.
Okay. I'll let you take the wheel. I've talked about what I saw. Anything you want to know from the first spring practice.
From one practice? No, I mean, like
from one practice with helmets and no pants.
No, there's no. We're being honest here. Like, no, there's nothing that I'm not going to hit you with any real hard hitters of questions about one practice. I just think from my standpoint, the things, hopefully I get out there at some point, likely after spring break. That's next week, right?
Yeah.
So, I think I was thinking about it today. Like the two things I'm going to be maybe not focusing the most on, but maybe most interested in watching is how the offensive line / run game differs than during the Luke Fickell era. Once they get helmets on, once they get into they have helmets on, once they get pads on, once they get a much larger dose of install in, like what does that look like? When you're truly doing maybe, a half field drill where you're trying to move the ball down the field and you can get first downs and keep drives going. Like, what does that look like? And then just, I think especially in the front seven, defensively, we know a lot of the names. We have a good frame of reference on what a Malik Van, Dante Corleone, Juwan Briggs, what a lot of these guys can do. I'm interested in seeing what does that look like in a defensive scheme that is much more attacking than what we've grown accustomed to. So just, how does my frame of reference on what those guys look like and what is expected of them change based on being in a totally different defense? Tonk, you're setting the bar awfully high.
Well, Steven wanted us to have a great stream. Tonk just wants us to have an above average stream.
Well, I don't know if we'll hit either of those benchmarks.
I do think, like, I saw, and I'm interested in your thoughts on this. There was some talk on the message board after the practice report about Briggs going back to defensive end and having kind of three power guys again at the point of attack, not having that twitchy edge rusher type. And my first thought, and I want to run this by you, with Deshaun Pace playing the nickel, this is very much more of a 3-4, right? And if you look at traditionally 3-4 defenses, your ends are more power guys than they are speed guys.
Yeah, I mean, if you're running a 3-4, you don't have a speed guy because with only 3 down linemen, how are you going to set the edge on a run play? You obviously can bring the outside linebackers up and make it almost like a 5-man front on occasion. But that's dictated by the personnel of the offense. If the offense is in a spread personnel or a one tight end personnel, you can't really do that because then that's leaving areas of the field or players uncovered. So if we're just talking like old school Steelers, Patriots,
yeah,
3-4, like no, those players don't exist on the defensive line. Those players are outside linebackers. Those players are your James Harrisons, your Bud Duprees, your Jamie Collins for the Patriots, Kyle Van Noy, like guys like that. They're not your I mean, we're going to go throw it way back, like old school Steelers, like Jason Kirkland, or Javon Kirkland, 6'4", 6. I mean, these are NFL bodies, so we're not going to necessarily see that in college. But
it's not a 1-for-1.
No, but I mean, you're looking at your bigger, more power players if you're going to more of a 3-man front.
Well, but I do think like in a 3-3-5, you do, I think, need to have one. Like it would be ideal to have a speed guy on one of the edges because you don't have that other backer playing downhill.
Yeah, you'll bring him up depending on what the personnel is.
Right.
Yeah.
So just like when we talk about the personnel in relation to the scheme, I do think it's more likely that you want 3 bigger body power defensive linemen in what this scheme is expected to be, and then your pressure or your packages are going to come from the linebackers.
Well, yeah, because let's talk it out. If you have a quote unquote Myjai Sanders as one of your ends in a 3-man front,
Yeah, I
and
had.
so you're talking about a guard and a tackle on that side against him, and even if you bring a guy up or bring a guy down, that's Deshaun Pace or someone of a similar build, like a guard and tackle is going to eat those 2 guys up. They're just going to run the ball nonstop right over that side.
Right. See,
So
Bama.
see Tulane.
Right.
They just moved their guard and tackles on pulls all game.
Yeah.
And just moved our guys out of the way last year.
So I wanted to touch on that. I did, and I'm curious to see Carrie's thoughts from today. In terms of the skill guys, because I did like what I saw from Jordan Young. I liked what I saw from DJ Taylor. I liked what I saw from D Wiggins. I liked what I saw from Donovan Ollie. I'm still memorizing these names to my brain like for quick recollection.
Right.
Sterling Buckhalter looked the part. Didn't see him make as many plays as the other guys, but it's day one. I was impressed with a lot of the stuff we saw in terms of the transfer guys on the perimeter of this offense and defense.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, like, with you have a pretty, it's a limited group right now, but it's a big body group of wide receivers.
Yeah.
So, like, I'll be interested to see how much kind of like isolation single type routes they're running, where it's just kind of like sideline routes, throw it up, back shoulder stuff, out, outs, like what kind of route combinations are we doing, or are we just kind of taking advantage of the size on the outside in that regard? But again, one practice, and nobody's rushing the quarterbacks, nobody's being tackled. It's it is what it is. But it's the one practice that we've had, so you take what you can from that, and we'll see how it goes today. Tomorrow, is that right?
Yeah, tomorrow's the last practice before spring break.
So we'll see. Well, who was again? I mean, it's silly to say starting, but like, what were kind of the main initial 5 offensive linemen?
That was complicated. Mainly because they had been doing a lot of kind of getting a look, I think, at both Radosevic and Gavin Gerhardt at center.
Mm-hmm. Probably did a good amount of like half line stuff too.
Not as much as I thought.
Yeah,
that they would do, but one, you're not hitting, so it's like impossible to tell who was good and who wasn't. But it is fairly easy as you're trying to figure out who the hell is who. On the interior, there was kind of a mix of wrong way. There was a bit of a mix. There was one look that was John Williams at left tackle, D'Artagnan Tinsley at left guard, Radosevic at center, Gerhardt at right guard, and then Cam Jones at left tackle. And then when Radosevic moved to guard, he moved to left guard. Gerhardt moved to center.
Kandra.
And Kandra was in there at right guard. He spent some time at left guard too. So they clearly between, and I think it'll be interesting to see, but I think some combination of Kandra, Radosevic, Gerhardt will take up those three spots with Tinsley also there, fighting for depth.
Next guy in at either spot.
Yeah. And then we saw a little bit of crap. I did so much of this. Did see a little bit of Philip Wilder at right tackle.
Him and Ethan Green are like the only other two tackles on the roster, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, unless you just want to move a smaller guy out there.
Or a walk on or someone that I'm not familiar with. I mean, no one else. Luke Dalton's not a exterior guy.
Body wise, who I was impressed by, Jonathan Harder.
Yeah,
I don't know where he fits.
Right.
Just looking at him on the sidelines, he's got a good frame.
Could Kandra play tackle if he had to? Is he of that size or?
Maybe in a pinch, but I don't know that you'd want him out at tackle.
I mean, of all the things that we're discussing and all the questions, that to me is by far the biggest question, the biggest
tackle
concern to me is not only the fact that you have two likely starters that haven't played, so you have no idea if they're going to be good or not, and they're learning a new offense and everything that goes into that. You have nobody even behind them. Your depth. You have no depth on top of no experience.
Yeah.
So
they list Kandra at 6'4", 318. I don't think you want ideally a 6'4" tackle.
No, but
you got to do what you got to do.
Certainly I think he would certainly be more of an option than Tinsley, Gerhardt, or Radosevic. If you had to do something,
sure.
Just because that's it's got to be a huge concern. It's just how many times are you going to go through an entire offseason, an entire season with both starting tackles being totally fine the whole time?
Tinsley is listed at 6'5", 315.
Maybe he could too. I don't know.
He's got really long arms. That would help him if that was ever explored.
Yeah.
But yeah. Unfortunately, Marcus Aaron is not. He was supposed to be there today and tomorrow, but had something come up, so he wasn't able to make it into town. Kerry Hoffman covered practice today and tomorrow. He will be there again. He just sent me an interview with Kerry Combs that I am uploading on this here very fine YouTube channel right now. And then he is going to send me a written practice report tonight. So you'll get a fresh perspective.
Wonderful.
Yes. Anything else you're curious about?
I know it doesn't make for great podcasting, but I kind of there needs to be more practices so we can kind of stack. Okay, this guy's done this 2 or 3 days in a row. And I just need to be able to watch it because with so many, you guys talked about the other night, with so many new parts, new players, new coaches, new system, everything. I just need to see it with my own eyes to be able to be oh yeah, this is what I want to ask about. This is what I want to talk about. Like, I don't
Right.
even know like what to talk about because it's only been one practice and I don't know who. I mean, I feel like we'd be doing a disservice if I was just like, so how did so-and-so look? One
I don't
practice
know.
in, and I was like, okay, well, how did this guy look? And we'd be like, well, he was fine. It was one practice, so it'll get better. We'll have more eyes out there. We'll have more practices to be able to, see things like, you can, hopefully soon we can be like, hey, they were doing this in the run game and it was successful, multiple days in a row, or this guy in the pass game has been shining. This guy's gotten, had good coverage multiple days in a row. So, it's just kind of what it is when you don't know a lot of the guys, you don't know what to expect.
The corner thing is going to be an adjustment. They're small. They don't look like what the corners have looked like for the past 5 years.
So they look normal?
They look normal. Yeah. They don't look 6'3", 6'2", 6'3", 6'7" wingspan, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah. So
but
every other corner, that's outside of like Sauce Gardner and Joey Porter Jr. that's been in the draft the last 2 years.
I like Jordan Young. Like he moved really fluidly. Okay, I was really impressed watching him getting in and out of his breaks, tracking the ball downfield. And then, like I mentioned Monday, DJ Taylor, he had a ball that I thought like Brady Lichtenberg was just trying to throw. There was double coverage. Lichtenberg was throwing a deep corner route. And it looked like he tried to throw it out of bounds just because the play wasn't there. And next thing you know, DJ Taylor's running the ball back on an interception. And I was like, what happened?
Yeah. I
what
think
happened over there on that sideline?
That's another thing I'll be looking at is I thought, and I don't know if they'll be able to truly, rectify it in one season when you didn't recruit a lot of these guys. You have this portal's one thing, freshman another, but like I thought the overall speed defensively last year was lacking. So I'm going to be interested in like your Jordan Young, your DJ Taylor. How does moving pace to a different position affect that? How does getting, a Jamal Williams on the field with a Jaheim Thomas and having more of like your 230-ish, whatever, I'm just guessing.
Well, Jamal Williams was at that rush linebacker, stand-up linebacker spot.
So, like, how does the defense look speed-wise in that regard when you, not saying that they were, still uber athletic, very fast. You can't have a defense as good as they've had.
Yeah, I think.
But I think the hit was bigger than maybe we expected last year when you lost Sauce, you lost Beavers, you lost Curtis Brooks, was a very quick interior defensive lineman. You lose Maije. Like, I think the speed element, when we played the better teams last year that had those special guys like a Tajay Spears, a Rocket Sanders from Arkansas, like I think that exposed that the overall defensive speed wasn't maybe where we thought it would be or hoped it would be.
I think we also undervalued, and the combine testing kind of showed this out over a couple years. We undervalued the speed of Wiggins. Wiggins not necessarily. We knew how fast he was, but we undervalued the speed of Forrest. We undervalued the speed of Kobe. We undervalued the speed of Cook.
Kobe's speed was how smart he was. So
sure,
he knew he could diagnose super fast, which allowed him to be that split second quicker than he actually was from a true speed standpoint. And yes,
but he was also faster than we thought when he ran a little bit. So yeah, I think like that's something that our eyes didn't lie to us last year about that. There was a drop off, but I just didn't think we thought it would be as significant a drop off because we thought, well, those guys are great football players, but they're not speedsters, if you will. And then they went out and ran, and they look like speedsters. And then they went to the NFL and they played again a lot faster than they look, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So I'll be looking at that as how does the new defense, has got some extra, some more guys in that frame and size on the field. Like, what does that do? Where's Byron Threats and Amarion Smith compared to last year? Sammy Anderson compared to last year. And I don't know if you'll be able to necessarily tell that in the spring, because if it was the same staff, then you'd have a better understanding of where they've taken their jumps. But now they're learning something totally new, so they're not going to be as instinctive and they're going to be more reactionary than having the confidence of I know exactly what the call is. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I know exactly what the guy. That's the thing too. Is you might know exactly what you're supposed to do, but the guy next to you might not quite know what he's supposed to do yet, and that causes communication issues. That causes hesitancy. So it's all things that we'll be checking out in spring and hoping that it gets worked on and it's good to go once they head to higher ground.
Thunder Bucks. I don't know if I've seen you before here, but we appreciate you joining. And if you think have you seen him before?
I think so.
Okay. I'm just welcoming him if we haven't. If this is your first time, I'm welcome. And thank you for being here. What I will tell you is this is my friend, because there's a bunch of dudes on here that I don't know. Even covering the recruiting part when they transferred in, and you just, until it's when you're trying to memorize 85 names, whatever it is, the key is repetition. And when you're on day one of that repetition, it's so I saw Donovan Ollie 6 times do something, and every time 11 White. Oh yeah, Donovan Ollie. I remember that from 90 seconds ago.
Even the returning guys, I didn't know Corleone
switched numbers.
I didn't know he changed number to 2. He could be lined up. It's ones on ones. You look over and you go, I guarantee for a split second I'd be like, who the hell is 2?
Mm-hmm.
I would know exactly who he is. I would know. I would be, of course, he's in there. It's the first team defense. But initially, you're going to go, who is 2?
I did it with the guy that didn't change his number.
Where's 58?
I did it with Jonathan Thompson.
Yeah,
he made a play.
Who's 22?
22. 22 is good. Oh yeah, that's the guy I loved all year last year as a freshman.
Had a great spring game last year.
No, he had a great spring period and was also really good at camp. It wasn't like he had a one good day thing. He had a 10, 12 good day thing. And I still didn't know who the hell he was. Just because I was so damn confused as to what was going on. That's this is going to be the hard part, Dave. We spent 5 years getting to know this roster.
Mm-hmm.
And it is no more. It is just not very rarely do you get a 5-year window like we just got, where you got to know everybody that was on the field at all times, because they had been on the field for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. And they're almost all gone. Yep. Almost all gone.
I mean, it's Taj, Malik, Ryan Montgomery.
Ryan Montgomery, who's hurt right now.
They've been here the longest.
Yeah. Well, Briggs gets mentioned at 3 years because he's been here a lot longer than most everybody else.
Oh yeah, but that's going to be it's going to maybe not to this extent, because you're not going to have a coaching change every year, but you're going to have this type of thing happening a lot now.
Yeah.
You're going to have
really weird, man.
You're going to have it used to just be 25 freshmen.
Right.
But now it's going to be a bunch of freshmen and a bunch of transfers.
Who are the 25 freshmen and who are the 5 transfers? Now it's going to be who are the 20 freshmen and the 12 transfers. And the 12 transfers, almost all are going to be coming in looking to play.
Right.
Like you brought those 12 transfers in to be guys that are assimilating themselves into well, I've already been here for 2 years because I was somewhere else for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
It was weird, man. Hi, Pickle.
What did she just do, Pickle? She just minimized my screen.
Dad, I'm here for my airtime.
No kidding. All about it tonight.
Yeah, it is. It is. I've never experienced anything like it. Even through all the different coaching changes, this is the most drastic, difference.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're looking around, like who do I know? And the answer is kind of nobody.
Yeah, I mean half the not fun, but half of it is seeing people because the season's been over. You haven't seen some people, so you talk to them and you try to, you reacquaint yourself and you try to get some info while you're doing the reacquainting. And now it's just all introductions and you're not, I think it's bad form to just introduce yourself and then right away start trying to get info out of somebody.
Sure.
You gotta they're gonna be like, who the hell is this guy just asking me these questions when I've never even met him before?
Well, it's a good way to not get info long term because they're gonna be like, dude, I'm not dealing with this guy.
Hey, I'm Chad with Bearcat Journal. You guys got any commits that are you think you're gonna get soon?
Any of these guys on the visit here, ready to go? What's the? Are you guys recruiting anybody?
Yeah. No, it's
the fan base thinks there's too many 85s visiting, not enough 89s.
All right. You know my opinions on that.
I know. But it's interesting and it's challenging and I like challenging. But my goodness, man, it was a shock to the system. Now, the nice part about it was probably the nicest first day of spring football in the history of spring football.
Oh my God. It was 75 and sunny and yeah, that's you couldn't have asked for anything better than that. And the fact that a 2-hour practice is a 2-hour practice.
That is accurate. It is not a 2-hour practice that starts 30 minutes early and runs 15 minutes late.
15. That would have been generous.
It is a 2-hour practice that starts exactly when it says it's going to be started and runs how long it is supposed to run. It is it's an interesting dynamic change. Thunderbucks, I'm sorry I didn't remember you. That's my bad.
The media in mind. We got to thank Coach Satterfield.
No, I think he's just he's a efficiency guy. He doesn't like not having things planned out very detailed and specifically.
Well, there's a very interesting video of Chip Kelly. I think he's talking to a coaching clinic, one of these coaching clinics that these guys go to in the off season. And he's talking about that, the efficiency of it and the practice time and the meeting time. And, he mentioned this, professor, scientist, doctor, I don't know who, what, yeah. But I sent it to my buddy.
UCLA.
I sent it to my buddy that coaches high school football because I just thought it was interesting that he was talking about this guy said none of your classes should be more than 30 minutes because after 30 minutes they lose.
People check out. Yeah.
Right. And he's like, we've really tried to do a great job of keeping guys engaged in meetings and, making sure that everybody understands and then bringing that onto the field and and really just trying to maximize our time and making sure that the time spent we're working diligently, but we're not out there just to be out there and to keep running things over and over again because you just, you're just not going to get the results. More time doesn't necessarily mean better results.
Yeah, that's what you have the classes for. Like going over, okay, here is this rep yesterday from practice that we ran 3 times that we need to talk about and get worked out. Not here's this rep in practice that we ran 7 times and we still didn't ever get it right.
Yeah.
Or we got it right on the 7th time. Okay. Like, congratulations.
So, I'm sure that
nuts.
And again, there's 2 sides to it. Like, you also have to make sure that you're successful.
Holding guys accountable. And right.
You don't just be like, oh, yeah, today was, and, obviously there's rules and they get around, everybody gets around our rules and things of that nature. But, I've never thought that just going over something over and over and over again necessarily makes it more effective. So if they prove that they can handle it, then great. If they can't, then they'll either pay the price for it or they'll change a little bit of what their philosophy is. But I imagine this isn't a new thing. So he feels it's successful doing it the way he does it.
Right. So, this is his system, how he handles practice. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Sometimes it was a little tedious being told you were going to be there for a certain amount of time and you're there 45 minutes later. Sometimes you show up and nobody's out on the practice field because they changed the start of practice. And then you have to wait an hour and a half for practice to start. I don't think Satterfield operates the ship that way. And I don't think you're going to be upsetting the engineering majors because you keep moving the stuff that interferes with their plans.
Right.
I don't know. I don't have a whole lot else on spring ball yet. I'm sure next week we won't have anything because there won't be anything. But hopefully we can get a coach on or somebody next week to talk to us about the first week.
Yeah, we definitely need a guest next week because we might not have a whole lot to talk about.
We still manage to do shows all summer, Dave. We'll find.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying, I
know
it'd be nice to have something substantial to get into.
So, do you want to talk about next? Would you like to talk about the shifting seismic plates in the college sporting industry, or do you want to do basketball and save that for last?
No, let's talk basketball.
Okay. Basketball Friday, 3:30. The Bearcats will play Temple in the 4-5 game. At that point, they should know which of the 2 lower seeds has knocked off Houston in the quarterfinals.
Hilarious.
Let's get to all conference honors today.
Yeah, that was great.
Landers Nolly, first team. Were you surprised?
I can't say I was or wasn't surprised because outside of guys on UC, Kendrick Davis, the 26-year-old, and guys on Houston, I don't know who else would be on first team.
There was only one guy I thought that would have gotten that spot over him.
So who made first team?
Hold on.
Marcus Sasser, Landers, Kendrick Davis. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Jalen Cook.
Hold on.
Hendricks from UCF.
That's who I thought would be ahead of Landers.
So he didn't make first team at all?
No, he was second team.
Oh, I mean, not saying that I would think he should have got it over Landers, but to me, he was like a first team guy. And maybe I'm just basing that off of
his 2 games against UC.
Well, no, because he didn't really have a very good game the second game.
True.
Maybe I just look at it because I'm like, I don't know if they win any games if he's not on their team.
Right. Da 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 da.
Because maybe I already maybe I already unfollowed the basketball accounts, but I don't remember seeing
They actually didn't post it.
who actually had like first, second, third team awards.
They actually
So
didn't post it on the AAC men's basketball account.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Why would you want to do that?
They posted it. I guess they posted it from the main page.
Well, I follow that one too, but I just didn't see it.
Now they're posting game highlights.
No, Tonk. I'm saving my money for Kansas City next year.
I'll be there. I'll hire another.
I don't need my own row of seats in the Dickies Arena.
First team was Sasser, Davis, DeAndre Williams, Jalen Cook, and Landers Nolly.
Okay. Yeah, I think Hendricks. But like, who do you take off? Maybe Landers, but I don't know if it was that big of a discrepancy that I disagree.
Landers did slash like 48, 43, like 80 or whatever.
Well, and all those guys were on teams that finished higher than UCF, and I'm not saying that that's how it should go, but those were arguably the best players on the best teams in the conference.
Second team was Forbes, Jarris Walker, who was first team talented, but was one, a touch inconsistent, and two.
Well, I wouldn't even say a touch. Like, he kind of disappeared the second half of the year.
Yeah.
Like, he came out of the conference schedule like an absolute madman, and they definitely rode the guards much more down the stretch than him.
And probably the most underrated player in the conference, Juwan Roberts.
Yeah.
Who was really good.
Yeah.
And then Taylor Hendricks. Forbes, Walker, Shed, Roberts, Hendricks. So Houston had 3 on the second team.
One on the first team. 3. That's not bad. Yeah.
1 on the first team, 3 on the second team. Yeah. I probably would have just whoever. Team. Yeah. No, they didn't. But I probably would have just put somebody on the third team. Third team: DeJulius, Tyler Harris, Damian Dunn, Kevin Cross, Craig Porter Jr.
Sure.
Yeah, what? Let's see. Freshman of the coach of the year or player of the year, Sasser. Coach of the year, Sampson. Defensive player of the year, Shed. Freshman of the year, Walker. Most improved player, Juwan Roberts.
Okay, so
6-man, Reggie Chaney. So they swept everything but the sportsmanship award, which went to the guy, the DeBalt guy from ECU.
Okay, obviously Kelvin's done a great job. They're the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah.
Should Ron Hunter have been coach of the year? Weren't they picked to finish last again?
I think it was like 7th or I don't think they were last, but they were down there. Yeah. Tonk, no, I'm not coming. I will be doing radio in Cincinnati, and when I'm not on radio, I will be at the hospital with Kelly. So, unfortunately, not in the cards this year. The conference tournament is always almost impossible for me because Mo works the conference tournament, and that means Chad does radio for Mo. There might have to be an exception made next year to go to the Big 12 tournament.
I'll go cover it, and by cover it, I mean sit in the stands and drink 20 beers.
That's not, it's not technically how we do things.
Well, you can send someone to cover it. I'll cover the games by sitting in the stands and drinking with.
I know. I'm just saying that's not how we typically do coverage. It's how you cover football games,
and that's worked quite well for us.
It's worked quite well for you.
Us, me, whatever.
Potato.
Which, by the way, I do have to say that you and Aaron eloquently discussed the future of Bearcat Journal for an hour last night, and did not mention my name one time. So
What do we have to mention about Dave?
I'm kidding. I don't care.
What do we like? What is there that's ever going to change about Dave's role at Bearcat Journal?
I don't know.
You do what you do. You're awesome at it, and it's exactly what I want you to do. It's exactly what you want you to do. If I called you and said, Dave, I'm changing your role at Bearcat Journal, you would say, eh.
I would say I assume that's coming with a pay increase that you can't afford, or find someone else.
Right. So there was nothing to discuss about Dave Simone's role in Bearcat Journal.
Just funny to me.
Do you want to write a bunch more front page content?
You say more as if there's any to in there to begin with.
You do the opponent previews in the off season
that have morphed into podcasts, so I don't even do those anymore.
Breaking news: Dave's role remains exactly the same. Stay tuned for details.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I would have mentioned your name, people would have been like, "Why?"
Yeah.
What did you even bring? Dave?
Well, maybe someone would have learned that you don't run the Twitter account.
If they don't know by now,
every day, almost every day,
somebody says Chad to you in the.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Chad. Like
I won't say every day. At this point, maybe like once a week, once every other week.
Okay, it's gotten better then. People are catching on. I don't have anything to do with the BCJ account. Anything ever. The only thing is sometimes
it was the other when I brought Will to the game and I sent a picture of him. Someone was like, "I didn't know Chad had a son." I was like, "He doesn't." And they're like, "Well, then whose kid is that?" And I go, "Mine." And I think they were very confused.
Look, the last thing anybody needs is hearing from me on 2 Twitter accounts. That is the least necessary thing on the planet.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that person was like, I don't understand.
Whoever that is, I'm sorry. Is Dan Simon busy tonight?
Dan Simon's probably in Vegas at the Pac-12 tournament. I haven't talked to him in a little while, but if I had to guess,
craps table.
Okay, so this sounds like a fun trip. I just saw this. Granted, it's men's and women's, but did you know there's now over 100 conference tournament games in Las Vegas?
Wow.
That would be fun. Yeah, I know like WCC is at the Orleans. Pac-12 is at their main whatever wherever the Golden Knights play, whatever there was one at Mandalay Bay. Like that'd be pretty fun if you could get out there for like a whole week and catch like the end of the WCC tournament into the Pac-12 tournament, or like catch all these like different conference tournament games that are going on.
Yeah. Here's an interesting one.
It's also pretty funny that there's so many NCAA things in a city all about gambling.
Shocking, huh? Brown transfer Paxton Wojcik tells me there are these schools reaching out so far. Not me. The 247 high school hoops account. Arkansas, Auburn, South Carolina, Cincinnati, Nebraska, Vandy, SMU, Santa Clara, Cal, and many others. A guard averaged 15 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists a game last season for Brown.
Yeah, you have the Ivy guys and any grad transfer can jump in now. The window doesn't open for everybody else until the 13th.
And we'll get to that in a minute.
Oh, we got off of basketball pretty quickly. The actual tournament that
we haven't even got to that. We haven't even started on that yet.
Like, this is the torture part of the Big 12 is knowing that the Big 12 tournament is going on while we're still playing in a tournament that there might be 2,000 people at the championship game.
Yeah. Temple.
Yeah,
it's a tough opponent. It's a tough opponent for Cincinnati. It has been a tough opponent for Cincinnati. They found a way to win the last time they played. Damian Dunn, they're going to have to do a better job on him. They're going to have to do a better job handling Temple's length. They're going to have to, I think, play with a little bit more pace. I think they've been in the Temple games a little too content, adjusting to Temple's pace and the way that Temple wants to play the game. Now, some of that is hard. Temple doesn't really turn it over. They run their offense. So they kind of, they do a good job keeping you from being able to get the ball and go. So it's hard to turn up the pace. But
you got to try to dictate that more, though. I mean,
I agree, but it's look, teams tried when against Mick, and Mick's style is very similar to what Temple does now. Like they're different in the schematics, but like they want to do the same things. It's easy to say we're going to just get the ball and go, but when they grind you down on offense, they shoot with 6 seconds left on the shot clock. They have two guys get back. They don't send a bunch to the offensive glass. Like it, unless you're creating a bunch of live ball turnovers, they're just a hard team to run on. And that's no shock because Aaron McKee played for John Chaney.
Right.
Like that's embedded into like his core philosophy of how to play basketball. I agree. You should try to do that. I just think it's easy to sit here on a podcast and say, push the ball.
Well, I don't mean like I don't mean you go out of your way to like almost totally change your game plan, but like when those opportunities present themselves, I think
you have to hit it.
You have to take much more advantage of it than they did, especially like the game at home. When it was a back and forth game, but it was still at the possessions were still at a Temple pace.
Yes.
There was a lot of shot making, especially in the second half. So the score looked different than I think what the pace of the game was.
Wasn't that the game where in the second half, both teams were over like 1.3, 1.2, 1.3 points per possession? Like
they made a lot of shots in the second half. And it went into overtime and but
yeah, but it was played at Temple's pace, no question. That I'm saying I would like to see them not specifically play at Temple's pace, to play with better pace. But also it's fair to acknowledge that against Temple, that's not exactly as easy as it sounds.
No. But I'm going into it. Beat Temple, and I'll be cool with whatever else happens.
Are you okay if this team gets to the NIT? Is that a goal for you, or do you not care?
A goal to make the NIT?
Well, is it something that would make you feel like, okay, things are progressing, even if it's not at the rate that you'd like, that things are progressing?
No.
They had no chance to make the NIT last year.
Right. No, because if you make then I would say like, okay, go win some games. Just making it, it wouldn't be like, oh yeah, there we go. We made, I'm not necessarily going to be over the moon making it, but then I'd be like, go, if you make the NIT and lose the first game, I'm kind of like, okay, well, what was really the point?
So make the NIT and then go win the NIT and then
not necessarily the whole thing, but like win 2 games, make it to the game before you go to New York or whatever. Like make a mark in it. Like
Vegas, Dave.
Use that. What?
Vegas, Dave. Vegas.
Oh, the NIT's in Vegas now?
The Final 4 is in Vegas, yes. It might even be the Final 8, but I believe the Final 4 is in Vegas.
Oh, well, I did not know that. I'm going to be in Vegas in April, but I think it'll be after all this stuff is over.
Beginning of April?
No, not till like the 20th.
Yeah, it'll be okay.
But no, win 2 games. Then I can say, yes, that was, you made the postseason and you made a mark in it. Just making the NIT and then losing the first game doesn't do much for me. It's not going to, I'm not going to be like, Oh, it was a much better year because they made the NIT and lost versus not making it.
Fair. What is your take on Cincinnati being the number 3 betting favorite to win the AAC tournament?
I mean, I think that makes sense just because you're assuming
I think they're better than Tulane. And
well, you're assuming that
seed.
if they beat Houston, then they would have the next best odds to go ahead and win the tournament. If we're talking about betting favorites, like Tulane would have to beat Memphis and then
which they've done twice.
Right, beat UC or Houston. So UC would only have to beat, the way it breaks out from a betting standpoint is like if you knock off the number 1 seed, then you would have a much easier, from a betting standpoint, chance to go win the rest of the tournament.
Yeah. That's fair. It's fair. I don't know. You got anything else on the AAC tournament?
Not really. You haven't really heard anything about it.
No. What's there? I mean, it's got the number 1 team in the country, and then Memphis that's going to make the tournament. I mean, I would be surprised at this point if Memphis doesn't make the tournament.
Right.
And then maybe 2 NIT teams, maybe.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Is like I know there's been quite a few of the regular season mid-low major conference champions not win their conference, so they're automatically
pretty standard so far, though. Pretty standard so far.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I've just noticed more of the upsets in the earlier rounds.
I think we've had more upsets in the earlier rounds, but not more end result where somebody other than the number 1 seed wins the tournament. You know what I mean?
The Horizon.
Yeah.
You have that one. You have the one where they had still that stupid rule where you can't make it to the. And I don't know if that holds true to the NIT also, where if you're up in Division 1 for 4 years, you can't make it.
Yeah, no postseason play.
Did you see? So the Merrimack team, the NEC, they've won their conference regular season and conference tournament twice in those 4 years.
Yeah.
And have not been allowed to go to the tournament. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, remember the NIT is owned by the NCAA now. It's not its own independent thing like it used to be. So yeah. Yeah. March Madness.
Yeah. It's mad, all right.
Madness. Yeah, it's mad. How about Jim Boeheim? Did you see all this today?
I did.
He says, I gave my retirement speech at the game, but whether I'm back next year or not is up to Syracuse. And Syracuse said, "Oh, really? Jim Boeheim is not going to be our coach next year."
Yeah, it was like Jim Boeheim post-game press conference. You're going to have to talk to the university. The university an hour later. Jim Boeheim has retired.
With no quotes from Jim Boeheim, no fanfare. Other than like Bobby Knight, has anybody ruined like the end of a career worse than Jim Boeheim has?
I think from the moment they left the Big East, he made it his mission to be as big of an asshole to as many people as possible.
Well, I think he was as big of an asshole to as many people as possible while they were in the Big East. They were just winning.
They were just really good.
So everybody put up with it. And then they got to the ACC and it didn't translate and they didn't win as much. And everybody went, wait, this guy is a gigantic asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
He coached there for 47 years.
It's wild, isn't it?
I mean, my family is from Rochester, which is very close to Syracuse. I do not know how anyone would want to live there for 47 straight years.
That's also fair.
When you're a coach and could probably get any number of jobs in other places.
Yeah. Yeah. The guy's a complete ass. Just a complete ass.
He's a jerk. But, whatever. We'll always remember beating them in the Big East tournament.
Yep. But the only team to beat them that year with Fab Melo, with their whole team.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, until the tournament.
Yeah, regular season, first, whatever.
Yeah, because he was out in that year when they lost like 1 game, 2 games, something like that.
They lost 2. One of them is to Cincinnati, and the other without Fab Melo because they were cheating.
Yeah, well, hey, I got nothing wrong with. I have no problems with that. You know me.
That brings me to another secondary point I wanted to touch on. Chris Beard in the running for Ole Miss. Yeah,
sure.
If you're Ole Miss, you will never, ever, 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 ever get a chance to get a coach as good as Chris Beard, except for this.
Yeah.
Oh, he beat the shit out of his wife. Guy can coach basketball.
Allegedly. The charges were dropped.
Charges dropped, yeah. I'm just saying hypothetically, the board is like, well, I mean.
Or we could hire, Florida Gulf Coast coach or,
right.
Or some assistant.
We get a guy that's been to a couple Final Fours. Let's do that. Let's do that. Nobody cares anymore, Dave. Nobody cares anymore. Nobody cares. Just win, baby. It's the Dave Simone mantra in life. I don't care about reasons. I'm Dave Simone. I understand the difference between excuses and reasons because I think far too many people in life don't understand the difference between excuses and reasons. Dave is okay with looking at reasons, going, I acknowledge those reasons, and I also don't care.
I don't care.
I don't care about your reasons. I'm here to root for your team. That means I'm here to win. This is what happens when you've been a fan of the Bengals for your entire life.
That's why I always laugh about vacating things. Okay, vacate the championship. I still was at the game. I still remember the season. I don't
remember the after party when we won a fucking championship.
Yeah, it still happened. You didn't men in black me, and I don't remember that it actually happened. I don't care.
I seen it. I held the trophy.
That was always when Lane Kiffin was at Tennessee. We were all we're going to win the title, and then 3 years later, we're going to be on probation, and we don't care.
Dave was like, cool, bet.
Yeah, fine.
Sign me up.
Whatever makes it happen. Sheet? Whatever makes it happen the fastest.
Outstanding.
Did you see? I think we're done with American Athletic Conference.
Oh. I didn't want to talk about it anyway. Somehow we made it 25 minutes, so I think we're good.
I just want to beat Temple and then whatever, so we can just totally be done with this league.
Yeah. Take the logo off the court. Just be done.
Get the sander out there.
Yeah.
NIT, just play road games. Just get it off the floor.
They're trending towards a 4 seed, which would be a home game.
They have to. There's no way they could make the NIT if they lost to Temple, right?
It would be very, very tedious. But if they beat Temple, I think it's pretty secure that they're.
I also always wonder with the NIT, how much of making the NIT is based on them calling and going, how many fans can you get to the game if we pick you?
Yeah. For UC, they've been putting 9,000-10,000 people in all year in an absolute dog shit American.
Oh, yeah.
Outside of 3-4 teams. Yeah. I think Cincinnati could confidently say we'll put 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 people in the arena.
Yeah, the Dayton UC first round NIT game.
We've done that before, right? Or was it second round?
Second round.
Yeah. When that stupid band showed up and I wanted to
They
kicked him off campus.
blew our doors off that game.
Yeah, I know. I was there.
That'd be fun. Good to see Rashawn Holmes, who I still have no idea how Dayton got.
Yeah.
Get John Brandon back in the house.
I've actually heard, I won't say which job, but I've heard he's going to be a head coach again.
Oh, well, good for them.
Yeah. I think it's the Horizon. I think he'll be back in the Horizon League.
Lovely. But yeah, let's get Dayton at UC NIT.
All right, realignment, Dave.
Well, before we get there, I want one more dig on the AAC.
Okay.
Did you see Dennis Dodd's article today about college football attendance?
I saw you retweet something.
Yeah, so there was a big increase in college football attendance across the country this year, which lots of people in the sport have been lamenting that a massive decrease over the last several years.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's Alabama playing a bunch of cream puffs in the non-conference and people not being interested in that, or, you know, whatever it might be. But big increase sport-wide, except in the American, which had its lowest attendance ever this year. And the Big 12 had its highest attendance since 2011. So, you know, thank you, whoever you pray to, that this shit is over. Because just imagine how bad their attendance is going to be next year.
Oh, man. Woof. Woof. Not good.
No.
Not good.
Should we discuss a little bit of what Brett Yormark had to say at his Big 12 college basketball tournament press conference today?
Yes. I didn't see it. I was occupied. I will let you handle this.
He had a lot of interesting things to say. Which he normally does.
It's a very interesting man.
I appreciate his candor and his no, I mean, you could basically call it like no BS. You know, he's very forthright. If you ask him a question, I think he answers it as honestly as the question allows. But just a few of his comments on getting the media rights extension done early. He said he thinks it was critical. We live in such an unpredictable world, and it was important to have some clarity and stability with the conference. We're in a very different place than we were 3 to 4 months ago. You know, I think we're seeing that play out in real time with the issues that the Pac-12 is having securing a media rights deal. Did
he mention them by name?
The Pac-12? No, this is me.
Oh, okay.
Sorry,
okay.
End quote.
Okay. I thought you were still going. I was like, whoa.
No, my quote starts with, I think we're seeing that play out in real time. He did not say that part. That would have been great.
Yes. He would have been the best commissioner in the history of commissioners if he had put that on wax. On
expansion, he said, we're focused on it and we're exploring every and all possibility. If there's a chance to get better, it's incumbent on me as commissioner to explore those possibilities. I think we know that that's taking place behind the scenes, not behind the scenes, you know.
Sure.
On the front door, on your
plain sight. Yeah.
I'm in your yard, George. Like, yeah, it's on the new deal. Fox becomes a player in basketball. That just gives us another shot in the arm as it relates to more exposure, more marketing for our members.
Someone could see that as a shot at the Big East potentially.
Yes, it was. Do you think it was a coincidence that their commissioner at their media session today mentioned that she is going to be going into trying to get a deal done with Fox before their window opens. Again, directly related to the Pac-12 not being able to get anything when they went to market thinking that there would be a bidding war, so to speak, over their rights.
Right.
And, these brands, these media conglomerates just not prioritizing their conference. This one might be my favorite. Your mark on Gonzaga. I like Gonzaga. Obviously a great program. My focus right now is to see what happens throughout our industry. There's a lot of moving parts. I continue to have conversations with Gonzaga. It's like, yeah, I talk to another team in another conference, another school, another conference all the time.
Yeah.
Like, who would ever say that?
Brent Yormark.
Yeah, none of these other commissioners would ever be like, yeah, I'm talking to them right, just had a nice meeting with them. Their conference tournament's over. Mark Few is sitting in my box for the conference tournament this week.
Right. He's going to the what concert are they having?
Fat Joe or the Shaq DJ concert.
Both.
Yeah.
Mark Few will be at both of those events.
Mm-hmm. I still am totally indifferent on Gonzaga. Like,
I like Gonzaga with one caveat. It means Villanova comes with them.
Yeah, I'm just like, Adam, don't Adam. I don't. It's not like it's not going to break me one way or the other. I do think though that this is like moving forward. It's about brands inside your portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
And while to us on the outside, we're like, it's basketball. How much does Gonzaga really add? Like, as a standalone, way out in Spokane, it's like incredibly hard to get there. Like, it makes no sense geographically. It makes no sense school. I mean, it's a small, somewhat religious-based school. Like, has nothing to do with a UC, a Houston, a UCF, and even like the big Oklahoma State,
sure,
those type of schools, Iowa State. But at the same time, I'm like, this is about properties inside a portfolio. And you can then hold up a Gonzaga with hopefully a resurgent Cincinnati that has a lot of history, a Houston that's doing great, Kansas, Baylor. Like, it's just a matter of stockpiling these entities. And, the next time you go to market, the way things are viewed and consumed can be totally different. So where a Gonzaga doesn't make sense maybe under this current structure, maybe in 2031, it totally makes sense. And you want to have them, because like I can't imagine that they're long for the WCC. Like,
no,
there's no money.
There's
no
money.
It's not like them going to the Big 12, they're all of a sudden going to become terrible. Like, they're not going to be 14 straight conference championships, but like, they're still going to be damn good.
Yeah.
So like, sure, Adam, like the whole notion of like Big 12 has 16 teams and the Big 10 has whatever number of teams, and there's teams in California in the Big 10, and there's teams in, none of that stuff matters anymore. So just get the best properties you can get.
Right.
And, it would be very funny if like a team from the Big East left to go be with a bunch of football teams after that's the reason that they all left in the first place, like back in the day. I'm less convinced that would happen than I am any Pac-12 teams are actually going to leave. I mean, do you think that's something that could really happen?
Yes. Do you?
That like a Villanova would join the Big 12?
Yes.
I mean, I can't say Absolutely not, because I mean UCLA and USC are joining the Big Ten for Christ's sake. So
The Big East is not going to get a shit ton of money.
they don't have a shit ton of money now.
Right. I think they're gonna get at best what they're getting now, if not a little worse. I don't see an uptick. Big East basketball did not drive viewers to Fox. It did not, and I'm sure Fox is probably gonna stay with them as a trusted partner. It is not going to be a huge financial boom for the Big East. So if Yormark comes to Villanova and says, "Hey, guess what? How about instead of that $6 million from the Big East, we get you 10." At a place like Villanova, where they have D2 football, but like football doesn't drive the bus, basketball drives the bus. To get an extra $4 or $5 million a year to fund their athletic department, would you take on Villanova and Gonzaga at $10 million each a school?
They're getting 10 and everybody else is getting, I mean, who knows what
40, 30,
when,
40,
when they come in.
Yeah.
I mean, sure. Because and I think Yormark takes a little bit different approach because of
he's a basketball guy.
He's a basketball guy, and he thinks there's untapped. Now, he might be 100% wrong,
of course,
about this, but he thinks there is untapped, whatever term you want to use, money for basketball. He feels it is undervalued, being kind of rolled up into the football world. I tend to not feel that way. ESPN put out some numbers today showing how much viewership they got for their regular season basketball games, and how it's one of the best years that they've had in a long time. Duke and North Carolina were the highest. The two Duke North Carolina games were the highest rated games. Neither of them touched 5 million viewers. It didn't even come close.
Right.
So your two highest rated games of the entire season wouldn't be in the top 2 or 3, depending on what games were going on, in any week of the college football season. Every week, there's 2 or 3 at least college football games that rate higher than your highest rated college basketball game of the year.
Where's the Nova rumor from? It comes from having a non-football playing partner for Gonzaga. Do I think there's a lot of truth to it? No, probably not. But I do think, if you're going to go get the Zags, go get the other premier basketball-only entity that's available on the market right now, and that's Villanova.
Yeah. He also mentioned possibly moving the conference basketball tournament around, which I think would be a good idea. I have nothing against Kansas City, but I mean, if you're trying to monetize the conference basketball tournament, I think having it in Kansas City, having it in Dallas, having it in Houston, having it in Orlando are all ways to build on that. Or, have it in Vegas. have it in Chicago, have it in Indy, you're making these conferences. He talks about wanting a national conference. Well, then, you don't really have to necessarily have it in
Madison Square Garden.
Right.
I don't care.
You talk about having a national conference. Well, then you don't have to necessarily have it in the conference tournament every year in the footprint of your conference.
Right.
Let's see. What else did he say?
And times are changing. Kansas City isn't the epicenter of the Big 12 anymore.
No, Texas.
I mean, it still is, but it's not.
That's just been that's been the traditional thing. Like the ACC having it in Greensboro, and then they moved it to Brooklyn, and everybody hated it, so they moved it back to Greensboro. But you don't think Dallas would bid a significant amount of money to host the Big 12 tournament?
Right.
You don't think Orlando would, bid a significant amount of money to bring whatever the number ends up being, 14, 16 schools that really like basketball, bring, all their fans to Orlando for 4 days?
I got one for you to break away just a touch. Did you see who was the freshman of the year in the Ivy League? Rookie of the year?
I did not. Come on.
Come on, you should know this.
Oh, I don't know.
Caden Pierce.
Oh, that's nice. Good for young Caden.
8 points, 6 rebounds a game this year.
Has he entered the portal?
Probably not yet, but I'm telling you right now, there are like 8 mid to mid plus major level coaches that I told this kid's going to be a dude that didn't listen because he wasn't flashy. He was just really fucking solid. Like,
is that
I don't know.
Is that code for white?
Yes, kind of. Yeah. But he played on one of the best AAU teams in the country. And he was their glue guy. He defended the opposing team's best player. He could shoot the three. He was super athletic. He was a great teammate. Look, this kid is going to help you win a lot. He won a shit ton in AAU. He won a shit ton at his high school team. And nobody would listen to me. And he ended up in the Ivy League, which good for him because he's going to get a great education before he goes somewhere else and finish his career. But those coaches know who they are, and they know that I told them.
I'm sure they're listening.
You'd be surprised. I also just put it on Twitter, and they follow me. So they're reading it and knowing if they don't have me muted, which they might, because I'm sure a lot of people do.
I don't blame them.
Do you have me? Does the Bearcat Journal account have me muted?
I don't even think I follow you. No, I'm kidding.
I know.
I don't mute people on my personal account. I just block them or unfollow them.
I know. I like muting people because it means that they just, yell into the void and I don't hear them.
Yeah, well. Let's see. Did he say anything else of interest? How he found the right mesh of broadcast versus streaming content. We want to make our schools name brands, and ESPN and Fox are the best partners to do that. I'm just trying to find things that are interesting.
Sorry, I was yelling at my 12-year-old.
Your mark on linear versus streaming. Based on where we are as a conference today, we needed the biggest distribution possible. We need the biggest platform for promoting and marketing our member institutions.
Not wrong.
Which goes to a tweet that I sent out today on the Bearcat Journal account about tomorrow, which I think you would agree with is tomorrow is the main day of the conference tournaments. All the good teams start tomorrow.
Yeah.
Some on Friday because the Big Ten has so many damn teams now. You got teams on double buys but tomorrow is noon to 11:30. UCLA, Arizona, all the Big 12 teams. Tennessee's a lot of teams kick off tomorrow. There's 4 Big 12 games tomorrow. All 4 are on main ESPN. There's 4 Pac-12 games tomorrow. 3, but 2 of which feature UCLA and Arizona are on Pac-12 Network, and they have 1 game on ESPN, and it starts at 11:30 at night. How do you grow the brands in your conference if nobody can see them play?
Sorry, I just read something on Twitter that there are things sometimes you read something on Twitter and you're just like, it's something I never. Here you go. Breaking: former Sonic star Sean Kemp is booked into Pierce County Jail. He's currently being held on a charge of drive-by shooting.
Sorry for laughing, but
he was booked at 5:58 p.m. this afternoon. What? Does my daughter have me on mute? She would love to have me on mute. That is not an option for her. She knows better. Yeah. What? I'm sorry. Go back to whatever you were talking about.
I was just saying, like,
exposure is everything.
Like, I don't care. I mean, yes, the money is super important, but like, if nobody sees you, how do you move forward?
How are you relevant if nobody knows you exist?
Like, you have one Pac-12 game tomorrow night that the mass can watch, and it's USC playing a to-be-determined opponent starting at 11:30 Eastern.
Why would anyone want to watch that?
Yeah, well, another league has, like, and this was my thing with the Big 12 doing re-upping with ESPN and
jump the line.
ESPN and Fox was, yes, they're not going to get the best time slots because ESPN has an exclusive deal with the SEC and the ACC, and the Big Ten has an exclusive deal with Fox.
Right.
But you're not going to have to go hunting for their games. Like, there are going to be people tomorrow that are not Big 12 fans, but maybe they're just casual college basketball fans. They're going to turn on ESPN, and they're never going to change the channel.
Right.
And there's going to be four straight games of Big 12 games.
Yep.
That, to me, has more value than a couple million extra dollars, a year. It's an 8-10 hour commercial for your entire conference.
Yep.
I mean, imagine if they added Gonzaga and Big Monday had a 9 o'clock Big 12 game and then an 11:30 Gonzaga game.
Yep.
Or 11 o'clock, they don't build in the 30 minutes because they're not playing in the same site. So it would start right around 11. I mean, they might not do that because that's when, like, SVP Sports Center or whatever comes on. But I'm just saying, like,
sure, but go where people can see you.
That's the type of thing that he's looking at.
You can be on. Guess what? You can be on ESPN2 opposite SVP.
Right.
And people are still, if they're interested, going to watch a game over highlights of games.
Yeah, you don't think people are going to watch Kansas at Gonzaga on ESPN2 at 11 o'clock at night?
Of course they are. It's going to be one of the premier games of the season in the entire country.
Right.
So of course they are. Stupid, Dave.
But, yeah, I mean, that's what kind of Brent had to say. There's nothing groundbreaking or, it's kind of the same old, but it's still nice to have him speak, hear his vision, hear how he sees things moving forward. I mean, the Big 12 Conference Tournament this year has certainly taken big steps, and some of them we can laugh at. I mean, they put out like some rap song or whatever, which
it was terrible.
It's terrible, and it's funny that Brett Yormark, who worked for Rock Nation and has an in with how many different recording artists, like,
didn't just go get Jay-Z to do it.
Yeah, like, hey, dude, can you just do me a favor and wrap this minute and a half worth of a promo for us? But at the same time, like, the thing, he's trying to turn the Big 12 tournament into kind of like an NBA All-Star Weekend feel, and
sure.
And I am totally for it. Like, you want people to want to come into town, you want to grab your casual fan, you want people to buy, most people to buy the full session tickets. Like, it all goes hand in hand.
Yes.
And then you have George K, who did not have any.
No, I was. What did George K have to say today?
He did not have any media availability so far this week.
So they normally don't, like, that's not a thing that they do?
Oh no, I'm pretty sure it's a thing that they do. He just decided against
Like
it.
they do it every year, but they just didn't do it this year?
Pretty sure.
That's kind of weird, isn't it?
I mean, it seems odd. Like, I don't know, man. Like, even if you don't have anything to necessarily announce, like, doesn't that come across as where we don't want to get asked questions because we don't have answers to them?
Yeah.
So we're just not going to put ourselves out there, which is then going to, bring on the perception that you don't have anything close to a deal.
Right.
Who knows? Again, who knows who you can believe, who you can't believe. Like I posted on the board today, like I actually don't even care if any of the teams leave for the Big 12. I don't.
Yeah, I don't care either. Like, it doesn't move the needle for me.
I'm
sure,
just,
Arizona would be nice to have in basketball, but like, I don't really care if any of those teams are in the Big 12. Like,
no.
like matchup wise, or like what I'm looking forward to seeing out of the Big 12. I'm kind of good with the Hateful Eight.
I'm just more interested in who's right, who's wrong, and what the fallout is.
Yeah.
And not from like a sense of like reporters getting, ratioed, more of a sense of like, okay, if this deal actually comes in as bad as some people think, like, does that mean then that someone actually just says screw it and leaves? Like, I don't care who. I don't really care who that is or if that happens. I just want to see if it does.
Yep.
But no, I mean, there's been some very funny tweets, especially from our counterpart in Arizona, screen grabbing images of all the times over the last 9 months that the John said.
He's got all the receipts, baby. I love Jason Shear. I love him.
That the deal was close, and then, all the times where it kept saying, like, I think it's going to happen around this time, and then this time, and now we're hearing maybe, now it's, before 2 weeks ago, it was if George doesn't have something to say at the conference tournament, then that could signal problems. And now we're hearing, well, it's not going to be anything now. Maybe the end of March, early April. Like, who the hell? I mean, you're going on like 10 months.
Yeah. It's been a long time. Been a long time.
So. And the thing too is like their deal doesn't expire until next year.
Right.
So they're not technically in this like terrible timing window. But the narrative that's been built and with the Big 12 jumping them, and then just the weird comments and the things that he said at football media day have totally backfired. And the statement of unity that was now, I think I saw a tweet that was 23 days ago.
Yeah.
It's just created this momentum of like that things are going terrible when they very well might not be. It's not like their deal expires in a month.
Sure.
But it's just perpetuated for so long, and so much narrative has been able to be written out of their control that it makes it seem like it's in such worse shape than it probably really is. But then at the same time, I just fall back on if they had a deal that was satisfactory to them, they'd sign it. So they clearly don't have something in front of them that they feel is of correct value.
Yep.
And I just don't know where that just out of the blue all of a sudden comes from.
All right, you want to, before we get out of here, go over the notes from Carrie today?
Sure.
Let's see. Kobe was there. We saw that picture.
I saw some tweets of the Cobster.
Yeah. Awesome to have Kobe back in town. It makes, I think it eases the feeling that all of these guys are going to start hanging out in Madison, Wisconsin, where they didn't go to school? Come on, man. Mason Fletcher had a good day. A lot of pressure. He got some good punts off. Carter Brown looked good. DJ Taylor might be my early camp guy. He got another interception, this time off Brady Drogish. Jonathan Thompson. I love me some Jonathan Thompson. He got an interception. This is like the Chad Brendel All-Star team. Miles Montgomery, several big runs. Corey Kiner as well. Emory Jones on a connection to Belgian, the West Virginia or the Western Kentucky tight end. Donovan Ollie with another good day, it looks like.
Yeah, they posted a couple quick videos where in one of those he had a catch.
Yeah. A lot of underneath and swing stuff. I noticed that as well. I think they're going to take advantage of, like, you run that outside zone. Teams really have to be alert for if the ball is going to go to the outside zone on the run. So then you can fake off of that and hit a lot of underneath stuff. So I did notice that yesterday. Carey noticed it again today. There we go.
Excellent.
So that's up on the site via Kerry Hoffman. He was at practice today. He'll be there for us again tomorrow. And I thank him for stepping in as Aaron had to deal with some family stuff. So prayers are with Aaron. Hope everything is okay. And hopefully he will be back in the mix here in a couple days. But for right now, thanks to Kerry for stepping in. Very short notice. And I love the team player aspect. We'll get Jason Shearer back on again soon. I love that man. That man is looking for the smoke.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the time to try to talk to him again would be one of two.
Afterwards. Yeah.
If a deal is ever done.
Yeah.
Or if one of these teams actually, or I keep saying teams, I mean schools. One of these schools actually does say, you know what? You suck, you're cool, I'm out.
Right. And those are not the words used in Half-Baked.
Yeah.
But, there are new standards for what we're allowed to say on YouTube. So
are there?
Yeah, we're not supposed to cuss as much.
Well, maybe my role will be reassigned.
I didn't say we're not supposed to cuss at all. We're just not supposed to cuss as much. We do a good job on the main rule. The main rule is not to cuss in the first 8 seconds. We usually give it a minute or two.
8 seconds of the whole show?
Yeah, just don't cuss in the first 8 seconds.
I don't think we've done that. It's not like you've been get down to the effing Holy Grail and drink your ass full of beer. Like, I mean, you do an ad read for like the first minute.
Who cusses in the first 8 seconds of a show?
I want to watch that show.
Those shows aren't being monetized as the same as the rest of us, apparently. Yeah, you can cuss all you want, Natalie. You can say whatever the hell you want.
Especially in the comments, right?
Yeah, like the comments are fine. Maybe if I put the comments up, like if somebody gets here before we start, and then I just read the comments, and I'm like, look, I wasn't cussing. I was just reading the comments. That was Natalie that said all the bad words. It wasn't me. I'm not the one that should be penalized because Natalie started the show off hot. 8 seconds. Clearly, Dave, that has been a thing.
That's like always when you see, like, I forget, I saw a sign somewhere about like not shaving, and I'm like, the only reason that sign is there is because somebody shaved, and so they felt the need to put up a sign.
Yeah.
So
no shaving here. no cussing in the first 8 seconds, as if people just start off the show with George Carlin's like 7 words.
Yeah, 7
Like,
words
that's
you can't say on TV.
Yeah, that's the first, and it takes like a second to say each of those words, right? So the first 8 seconds.
Let's get those people on as guests.
All right, I'm gonna. Oh, we got Bedlam tonight.
Oh yeah, Oklahoma State just started or is about to start.
No, it just started. 7-4 Oklahoma. They are in their second to last season in the Big 12, 15-16. The Sooners.
Huggy Bear advanced.
He did. They look really good right now. Like they're getting it figured out.
Well, I mean, when you got a guy on his like 6th school, like Eric Stevenson is.
Yeah.
He must be a thrill to coach.
That's right, Natalie. That's the away we fucking go. It's the goddamn BCJ podcast brought to you by. I think that's how we have to start from here on out. We'll just wait 8 seconds of silence before we do it.
Yeah, that's right.
Second 9, I'm coming in hot. All right, I will be on radio again tomorrow and again Friday, 3 to 6, filling in for Mo, who is in Fort Worth at the tournament. Carrie will be at practice tomorrow. I'm not sure tomorrow night what the situation is. I would guess Rock of Truth at 9. Probably won't have a nightcap until Friday. But maybe tomorrow night we'll figure out something depending on how tomorrow goes. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say you'll probably still be on the radio, but I was saying you could do like a live reaction show after the game Friday.
We're gonna do probably a live nightcap Friday, one way or another. But just letting Aaron, get his family stuff taken care of and figured out. So, so that's where we're at. We're gonna bounce. We will see you maybe tomorrow. If not, at worst, we'll see you Friday. For Pickles, for Tiger, who made a cameo tonight in the background, for Dave, I'm Chad Brendel. This is the Holy Grail BCJ podcast, brought to you, as always, by BearcatJournal.com.